We haven't recorded together in now officially over 1 year because the last one was January 2020. We did the top 10 of 2019. Can you remember what your film of the year was?
Ooh, must have been Quentin Tarantino.
It must have been, which was Once Upon a Time in
Hollywood. I thought you knew the answer.
I did.
That's why
yes,
you're
I'm
asking.
just trying to make playful podcast conversation.
Oh yeah, I've forgotten how to do that.
That's okay. That's why we're here. This is why this is going to be an introduction. We're going to get back into the scheme of things and just catch up because we've not spoke in over a year.
It's a new good bit. It's a new year. It's a new feeling. It's a new time.
It's a new bit.
A new bit.
Welcome to the New Bit podcast. Right, here we go. Hi, Aaron Dockert. How are you?
Hi, Chris Moffat. I'm okay.
Are you okay? How was your new year?
This is my new podcast voice.
Don't do that. I like your normal voice.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't like your voice?
I don't know. Did anyone?
I'd imagine some pretty famous voice actors quite like their voice.
James Earl Jones. He doesn't actually. He's got a stutter.
But I mean, come on.
Yeah, very insecure.
James Earl Jones is probably the one I would go by with like the voice I would probably most want in life. Would you still be friends with me if I had that voice?
No, absolutely not.
Maybe the coolest thing about me right now. Where is Padme?
Are we doing swearing? Are we expletive? Because we don't have to be.
We can be. I'm not. I don't do bad words on the Wrestling Connection because my co-host is a teacher, so we try and keep it as clean as possible.
We don't have any. We don't have a reputation to uphold.
I know I can do it without swearing, but you guys love a swear.
What do you mean by that?
You like to express yourself in certain ways.
What do you mean by you guys?
Well, usually, obviously, there's more than just you that's a guest. But now we're back to the olden days. We're back to the original Good Bit twosome right now, since we're still in quarantine. And we thought we were going in the right direction, but now that we're back in proper lockdown, it's probably going to be held off for a bit longer.
Till a proper in-person podcast.
Until a proper in-person podcast, but I'm also going through the phases of trying to figure out how to do this all remotely. Now, we've worked this out so we can do it because I've been doing my other podcast, which has worked well like this, so I thought there's no reason why we can't try this for the Good Bit. But it will change the dynamic when we have a couple of other people, a couple of other voices in our heads as we're going.
You're right. I wonder when. I know we recorded in January 2020, but when was the last time me and you just did a pod?
I have no idea. It would have been the one in London, which was August of 2019.
Wow.
Yes, we talked about Blinded by the Light, which we saw in the Everyman.
Yep.
Yes.
Quite the experience. Couldn't do that.
Quite the experience. And then the day after we saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was also quite the experience. How have you been? What have you been up to since we last recorded? Because this is your first appearance on the Good Bit since January of 2020, and it's now January 2021. What's happening?
Since January 2020, what has happened?
Not a lot, really.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't podcasted.
Yeah. Have you missed it at all? You
You
can be honest.
I don't know. No. It's considering, I don't know. Obviously, now we've figured out how to do it virtually, not in person. But considering meeting up in person was just off the cards since like March, it's just not been something in my mind.
Really,
I've certainly missed meeting up as a group and then probably podcasting together. I've missed that, absolutely.
It's been a while since we've done the old original Good Bit style where it would be the two of us go to see a film, not speak about it, go for dinner, talk about other things, and then return back and then talk about the film on the podcast. It's been a while since we've done that.
Listen, I think that's a brilliant format. We can't do it anymore.
Well, we're trying to today or this week.
Oh, yeah, we've actually true. We haven't spoken about it.
No.
Yes.
A little spoiler there for the next episode of the Good Bit, which is going to be the first of like a little sort of a new kind of style of the Good Bit. And which we're going to talk about today, like the new direction of the show, and what we kind of want to do with it. But I've always had these ideas. They're always going through my mind what to do with the Good Bit, what to do with the YouTube channel and all that sort of stuff. But now that we're here and we have this format that we can do it in, I'm anxious to hear your opinion on this. And I want to see how it's going to go, because the plan we've got for those listening at home is that we're going to do individual episodes going forward on a new season of The Good Bit, and it's going to be talking about an individual film, right? Not too different from the original, but usually we would sort of have this big overlay energetic episode talking about something we saw in the cinema, which was contemporary and modern and like new films. Let's talk about new releases. Whereas this gives us the opportunity to watch classic films that are on Netflix and that we have on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, and we have on Disney Plus and other streaming services and that sort of thing. And it can be classics from all generations, from all eras of cinema. And it gives us the opportunity to do a Good Bit style video, or Good Bit style podcast, I should say, with those classic films, which I think is a good idea.
Listen, it is a good idea, and it works for the time and the situation we are both in, and everyone's in. Which, well, I know new films are sort of releasing on streaming platforms, but I mean, let's be honest, we're all just kind of stuck with Netflix's back catalogue. So why not?
Which, is more vast than I originally realised, because obviously it just shows you what it thinks you're interested in. But see, when you deep dive, there's loads
a lot on there. Yep. And it gets vaster every day. Well, every month.
Every couple of days.
every couple of days.
They add a new film.
No, I think it's a good idea. And why not? Let's try something new. I like the new... we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, you've always been like the consistent co-host or guest or whatever.
Well, listen, we started this thing together in luxurious armchairs in a nightclub.
That's true. Let's talk about that. So we started this. Can you believe we started this in 2016?
Young pups.
Which is coming up to 5 years now, which is crazy. Just with like the amount of time that's passed and like the amount of stuff that we've done, the amount of things that we've talked about and films we've covered and that sort of thing is very exciting. And we were in a bar in Glasgow, a nightclub in Glasgow, and we sat there on beautiful thrones almost.
They were thrones at some sort of big feasting table of some sort of medieval ilk.
Yeah, like a sort of murder mystery type thing. And yeah, it was like we just started chatting about it. We were thinking, what we're going to do. We were thinking it's going to be podcast or it's going to be YouTube or whatever. And I was doing another podcast at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to do one just about movies. And we had recently purchased a cinema card. We got the unlimited card and we went to the first one together.
Yeah.
I believe the film was called Burnt with Bradley Cooper.
Was that the first? Oh yeah, so it was.
I think so, yeah. Which I remember when we came out the film and we were like, that was all right. And then everybody else I spoke to was just like, it was so boring.
That's like when I first discovered IMDb. And we're like, films have ratings. Oh, that's a 7.2. Oh, I suppose it's quite good.
That must be good. My go for there is like, if it's 6 or more, then it must be good because someone's given it higher than a 6.
6 or more?
Yeah.
God, if I see a 6, I'm not buying a cinema ticket.
No, I know, but I mean, someone's given it a 9. It's just the average, you know.
If there's a 2 and there's 3,000 votes,
I'm not going.
Someone's given it a 9.
That's true. That's true. Maybe I'm the one that's going to give it a 9. I don't know.
I think you give most. If there's a movie that's a 3, you'll probably give it a 9.
No, I'm not that generous. I'm generous, but I'm not that generous. I just don't like being negative. I just don't like. I feel like there's enough negativity in the world, and there's no place for it.
You're right. I don't like being negative as well, but it comes naturally.
It does come naturally. So yeah, we started a good bit. We sat in a recording studio / costume closet in Drama College.
Yeah,
and we sat there and recorded our first episode, which was about Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice.
I mean,
bloody hell, the first episode. Sorry,
we're going to be doing. We've stepped up in terms of quality of films. I think now that we're doing the back catalogue of Netflix. At least we wrote up to review Batman versus Superman now.
Well, they might be releasing the extended director's cut of the film.
Batman versus Superman.
Yes, apparently it's about 4.5 hours.
Listen, if you get me to sit down and watch that. Because we've said that's how it's going to work, right? We're going to each week, one of us will take it in turns to say, this is the film that I want to watch this week. You must watch it too.
Yeah, and there's no discussion in the matter, and that's fine.
That's fine. That's final. That's fine.
The point of that was, like, if I was in the mood to watch an Asian film from the 1980s, then we have to do it. Unless you want to watch a French film, I know you like your French cinema.
No, I'm deep into sort of trash reality TV these days. I've slipped off the wagon. I'm not watching highbrow, high thinking films these days. I need to get back into it. That's what 2021's for.
Well, that's interesting because when we started the Good Bit 5 years ago, you were very much of the opinion of you want to become cultured, you want to start appreciating art. And as the years went on, it was really interesting to see both of our film tastes develop.
Yep, you're right.
And now, after a year of not seeing each other and a year of catching up on the reg, I guess,
Yep.
we have went from, at one point it was just Star Wars. What you're watching right now is Star Wars. And now it's like you just want to watch reality television.
I know.
Which I'm not judging you for.
I'm not judging myself either, because I heard an interview where someone was talking about Daniel Day-Lewis, and apparently he watches reality TV. So I was like, well,
You're thinking he's a well-respected actor. How am I going to do
well-respected, cultured man.
that?
No,
I can't imagine Daniel Day-Lewis sitting there watching Jersey Shore or whatever.
I really can. I think
Really?
it was Survivor or something like that he liked.
Right.
But no, I don't know. I don't know. It's something about lockdown, being stuck inside all day, every day, where you're sort of fucking. Oh, here I'm swearing. You can bleep me if you want.
Sorry.
You're stuck on your arse all day, either on a computer screen or on Zoom or just staring at the screen. You have a walk.
Yeah.
And when it, after dinner, when it reaches the end of the day, to sit down and commit for another 2 to 3 hours sat down watching something just doesn't seem right. So you kind of just go, well, I'll watch an hour of this show, or I'll watch a 30-minute episode of this reality. I don't know. I'm trying to analyze myself.
That's fair. I understand a lot of people. Listen, reality TV is such a popular and successful business. It must be.
Yeah, I
People
don't
must be fans of them somehow.
even mean reality TV. I just kind of mean TV. Not that I've
Yeah,
watched.
like things you don't really need to think about and concentrate on.
Yeah, like Lost, even though you really do need to think. But I did do that. I did
Lost is not a show that you can switch your brain off, though, surely.
It is in a way, but certainly towards the last few series, it's kind of so complicated that you do just switch off and it's all right.
Right. So Lost was your lockdown one pandemic show.
Yeah, it was. I think I started it before COVID,
Right.
and then got really into it just as COVID hit, and then I thought to myself, brilliant. I don't know how many, there's so many episodes, so many seasons, that I was like, well, I'm going to just hash it out in about a week.
Yeah.
And I did.
And you did, and you went mad.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. My lockdown show was Ozark on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Because the new season that just came out and people were talking about it, and I was like, right, okay, well, I don't just want to watch the new series. And I still think like this, but I do go through phases where I just want to watch stuff with buzz, like new stuff, just so I can talk about it with people.
Oh, I thought you meant Ross Martin.
Oh,
And
I haven't heard from Ross Martin in a while.
No, neither have
We
I.
went through a phase in the first lockdown where we had like a group chat, and every so often he would just phone us all at the one time,
Listen,
and we would all pick up at different times.
Ross, if you've listened and you've listened this far enough to hear your name,
Yep.
use a text.
He's a text.
Use a text.
So I was watching Ozark, and then I'm very strict with myself with the routine of it because I'm not good with TV shows and Netflix shows because I just like to get the film watched and it's done.
Oh,
You know,
okay. So that's a
I
different
don't like the whole thing. Like I had a conversation with someone last night where they went, "Have you seen Narcos?" And I said, yes, not the whole thing though. I've seen a couple of episodes, so it doesn't really count as you've seen it. I've only seen a couple of episodes of it. I've not watched the 3 seasons, so I can't talk about it. So I need to be strict with myself and make sure that if I'm going to start a show, I'm starting a show. So I said, because it's lockdown and there's nothing else we can do, I'm going to make sure that I watch one episode of this show a night, one a day, and no more. So then once I finish an episode, I'm like thirsty for more. And by the time it comes to the next day, I am buzzing to watch it. So there's 30 episodes of Ozark from season 1 and season 2 and season 3, and I watched all 30 episodes over 30 days.
How long is an
And
episode?
like an hour.
That's discipline.
It's just I'm just being. I mean, there was nothing else to
I know,
do.
I
You
know
know
you
what I
like
mean?
structure, but that's discipline. I'm not even this bad, but my slightly younger brothers and sisters
Mhm.
will go through series. I think my brother watched The Crown in like
Right.
a night, like like
Whole thing.
10 episodes in a row. And I think that's common practice these days.
It's very common practice. Are you of the um, opinion that binging is the best way forward, or do you prefer the weekly structure or the daily structure?
Uh oh, ugh, it kind of feels dirty, doesn't it? Binging. It's sort of just like, oh, I'll just stay up till 3 and just give me another episode, and I'm not really. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't feel
I'm
good.
watching another one. Who cares?
I don't feel good when it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, Jesus, I've watched
Okay,
I've watched 4 episodes of Lost.
Lost. Yeah. Well, a lot of people prefer it that way because then again, it's like the film thing for me. It's watched and it's done. Like a new season comes out, it's 10 episodes. That's 10 hours. Someone could watch that in 2 nights, 5 episodes a night. You know, it
But
could be
then
that, and then it's done, and then you can talk about it, and then you can.
when I'm forced to watch things on a weekly basis, like The Mandalorian, or
Right.
I don't know, last time I had to do that, maybe Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
Um, I suppose overall that leads for a better experience, but I'm certainly a lot of the time left like, oh, come on, another week.
Right.
I just need to know.
You want the next one? Yeah, that's fair. Well, the point I was going for with that conversation was that I've not been watching many films. I have been recently, but in like main lockdown, which was back mid 2020, I wasn't really on a film kick at all, and I was trying to watch more Netflix shows. So the things I watched were, you ready for this? Things I watched were Ozark, Glow. You see Glow? Glorious Ladies Wrestling, Gorgeous Ladies Wrestling, Afterlife,
Oh yeah,
Space Force,
yeah.
Mandalorian,
Yep.
Sex Education's one I've just started,
Oh yeah.
and Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which we've had many discussions about.
God. Yeah.
I want to watch them all, but there's about too many episodes.
Oh my God, there's so many.
But then again, yeah, it's more Star Wars content.
Yep. 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 I hear you. Listen, we're two wannabe film buffs
Mm.
who've, let's be honest, fallen off the wagon. And
I
we're
think
here.
I'm somewhat back on said wagon now that we went through sort of the easing of lockdown to the more restricting of lockdown once again. So now I feel like I'm back on some form of wagon.
I think certainly you're hanging onto a rope and being
Yeah,
dragged across the floor like Indiana Jones to
like
the
Indiana
wagon.
Jones.
I am. I'm running. I'm off the wagon. I'm running to try and get back on this wagon.
So that's another spoiler for next week. So next week, our first proper episode back with the new format, talking about one film a week or one film an episode, I should say, is going to be Aaron's choice, and Aaron decided it was going to be
Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
the first one from 1981, and that's
Yes.
going to be our discussion next podcast.
Why? I don't know. I mean, I love Indiana Jones, but I just feel like I had a craving to watch Indiana Jones over the Christmas period because I think they're Christmassy films. Do you know what I mean? The Indiana Jones films.
I really don't know what you mean because it's the furthest thing from Christmas, that Raiders film.
Well, it's like Die Hard's a Christmas film.
But Die Hard set at Christmas.
Is it? I've never seen it. Okay. Well, I don't know. Kind of
Well,
like
you got to check out Die Hard. We are going to watch Die Hard next Christmas, and we're going to do an episode about it because it's the best, and I think it's my favorite action movie.
okay. I
Just
don't know.
saying.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just feels Christmassy, New
No,
Year. It just feels like I want to watch Indiana Jones.
I
No
get
one
you.
sits down in July and watches Indiana Jones. Tell
It's
me
the
that.
type of film, just like Harry Potter, just like Lord of the Rings, and I dare say, just like Star Wars, that
It just feels Christmassy.
whenever they're on, like it's a family
Wrong.
affair. You all sit around and you put it on, and it just so happens that all your family's together sometimes, hopefully around Christmas time, and films are on, and I'm sure Indiana Jones is just on.
That's what I mean.
Okay, I get you. Listen, I
You
can read you
knew
like a book. Speaking of reading books, something else I've been doing in 2020,
that.
trying to become a bit more of an avid reader. and I decided I'm going to start with a series of books that would be easy enough to read, and that is the Harry Potter series.
How you doing?
Good. I'm on Goblet of Fire.
That's pretty good going. I remember when
Goblet of Fire is significantly bigger than the other three, but then the next one is Order of the Phoenix, and that one's 800 odd pages. That's a big one. But I'm really enjoying it. I was nervous at first because I've always wanted to be a reader, and anytime I've gone to read, I've lost concentration, I've lost interest, I've been distracted, and those traits
Very-
still come out now and
very
again. But
candid.
I'm getting a lot better.
very,
Huh?
very candid. I like that.
What do you mean?
Just like I tried to read, I get bored, so I don't.
Yeah, that's all. I'm not going to
No,
lie. I'm not going to lie to
honestly.
the people.
No.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's it. I just wanted to try and read, and then I've picked up and done well for Christmas. I got a couple of books. I got the Princess Bride novel,
Yep.
classic film, which is one of the films I'm going to choose very soon. And a couple of other sort of wrestling books and that sort of thing. So I've been reading some more. It's been good, and hopefully I can then incorporate some of books of films that we talk about.
Listen, do you know what I'm getting here? I'm just sort of feeling the vibe of what Good Bit Season 2 is. And if
Right.
Good Bit Season 1 was two young guns, two actors starting their training straight out of school, discovering the world of cinema and art.
Yes, and life.
And life. This is two recently graduated, fallen off the wagon creatives, lost, searching for meaning, and trying to rediscover films and art.
Trying to get back on the wagon.
Trying to get back on the wagon. Listen, some people fall off the wagon and turn to drink. At least it's just reality TV.
That's true. Some people go down a real dark path, and reality TV is
It's
relatively
dark,
dark, but it's not as bad as drinking drugs.
We can come back
Fair.
from this.
We can come back from this, and we will come back from this next episode on the Good Bit, where we talk about Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So before we finish off here, I just want to talk about what's been happening and what again we kind of mentioned with the Good Bit and the plan going forward. But any avid listeners of the podcast will know back early 2020, the format was also due to change, and it was going to be, because I was with my friends less, and it's not as if we were able to get around a microphone and talk about films all the time. The plan was to start incorporating the film chat into semi-interview style episodes. And I was going to meet some of my kind of actor pals who were in the industry who liked films, liked theatre, liked TV, had their own kind of like their own opinions on things. And we're going to chat to them about their life and their experience in acting and their experience in film, along with their interest in film. So I sat down with a great actress called Madeline McGurk. We sat down and we talked about Birds of Prey. Not the best film to chat to a fellow actor about, because let's be honest, Birds of Prey wasn't the greatest film. And we actually decided on that podcast, me and Madeline decided that it was actually quite offensive to also not only males, but also females. So
I didn't see it.
we didn't like Birds of Prey at all. It was a great discussion, so I was very grateful for her. And then I chatted to my good pal Josh Whitelaw, who is an actor that was in Outlander and was in Wild Rose and Beats and all these other films that were set in Scotland. Great actor, and we sat and chatted as well about films and that sort of thing, and we had plans to do so many more, and that was early March, I believe, and then mid-March, everything kind of dissolved. And then my podcast traits went elsewhere, and I started a new podcast called The Wrestling Connection, which, as people who have listened to the podcast before and know me, know that, you know, another massive passion of mine is pro wrestling. So we chatted about that. Me and my mate Glenn, who I've been friends with for years, who is an English teacher, very well-spoken guy, great opinions, just as, you know, obscure knowledge as I do.
He must
We've
have
been
a
friends for years.
fantastic vocab.
He does have fantastic vocab. He's a good guy.
Podcast host.
We chatted about it in a pub on the 14th of March. We were sitting, went to a wrestling show at the Pavilion with 2,000 people on the 14th of March. And then the world went into lockdown on the 18th of March, I believe. So it was very, very close. We chatted. It was called, the place was called Rufus T. Firefly in Glasgow. We sat there and we chatted about it. We thought, we'll do a podcast. And we figured out a way to do it remotely, just like you're hearing now. There was a lot of sort of teething problems at the start. First 3 or 4 episodes, there was some disasters. But once we got over it, we have now been every single Sunday for 40 weeks. And we've released an episode without fail. And that's been a lot of fun. And that's been a saving grace, I'm not going to lie. See, in terms of lockdown and like boredom and like trying to keep me sane and some form of creativity and still having social skills, that's been a big help for me.
That's interesting. Keeping up the social skills with a podcast. That's probably
Yeah,
something that's underestimated. Yeah.
yeah. So although that's now in a wee sort of rhythm, and we do that every single week now, there was a void in my life not being able to talk about films and not having you in my life
Oh.
and able to talk, on the good bit and that sort of thing. So we've been talking about it for a while though. We had been talking about it on FaceTime, saying we're going to need to get back to it, and now we're here. And as I said, the new format, one film every episode, just chatting about, not going into too much detail, but chatting about our own personal experiences with the film, what we think with the performances and that sort of thing, what those films mean to us. And the episodes can be shorter, so they'll be easier to edit and publish and that sort of thing and record.
Trying to
And I'm very excited.
trying to become the cultured masterminds that we once wanted to be.
Yeah,
Trying to rediscover that.
it's going to happen.
The fire was really ignited on New Year's Eve.
Yes,
Close to the bells, we
very close to the bills.
we made the decision to do this. So it all feels right at the right time, and I feel good
Start
about
of
it.
a new year and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And we should make clear that we had not touched any alcohol before we started that.
No, we
Had
hadn't.
you?
No,
Okay.
Although
That-
we
that
had
came
when
later.
we had when we came out with the good bit itself in 2016, we had touched a few.
We had when we come up with the idea at the first place. That's true. But now we haven't. We're in a clear head. We're doing sober January, dry January. I mean, not sober January. That's sober October. And I don't know. I didn't make that decision that I'm going to do dry January, but maybe I will now.
Have you had a drink this January?
I think maybe. I think maybe. So it's screwed
You're
then.
not doing it.
No, I'm not doing it. But we are. What I'm trying to say is we're not drunk right now. So we've decided to start the new year with a new format and a new podcast, and I'm excited. Are you?
I'm very excited. This is the way, and
This is the way.
yeah, I feel excited. It's a good way to start the new year. We've left the good bit for a long time. It feels good to sort of rehash it as a sort of season 2.
Yeah.
New template, new format, new way of recording remotely.
Hopefully temporary.
Hopefully temporary, but
Well, let's be honest. You're probably going to go back to London eventually, aren't you? So this might be the new way going forward.
and there you have it. Even when things go back to normal, we can
still do it.
continue.
Yeah. That was the problem, wasn't it? Because you'd went down to London and that sort of thing, so we weren't able to be together. But now
That
we
was
can.
the initial rock in the road.
It was.
that sort of made the good bit more sporadic, because we were cranking them out when we were both in Glasgow.
We were, yeah.
But no.
But now we have this, so we're fine.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it big time. Also, shout out to Ewan and Leanne, who are always like our kind of counterparts that always end up on the show.
OG.
So no top 10 this year. That's usually the foursome that we are. We all chat about all the top 10 films of the previous year. So obviously, partly because we can't get together, but also because I think a lot of us, myself included, were very lackluster in terms of watching films in 2020, mainly because there weren't many to watch.
Yeah.
So we thought we'll just give it a bye this year. We'll return next year, hopefully. And we do want to get Ewan and Leanne back on the show on a more prominent basis. We're just working out the kinks of how to get them involved remotely as well. So eventually they will come back on. But for now, you're stuck with me and R&D.
The OG time. Just like we're back in the cupboard in New Clan.
I prefer to be here, though.
Clan. What is it called? N Clan.
N Clan. Yes.
Gosh.
Shout out to New College Lanarkshire, which gave us our start, and we met on that fateful day. Where was it like the second day of the term or something, and you were late coming in?
Second week of the term.
Second week of the term, and
You
I
were
was
talking
I
about-
needed a partner
You were
for
talking
like a
about
sort of
George.
hot seating job, and you came in and I needed a partner, and whoever it was like, "Oh, you can go work with Chris," and we sat down face to face, and I just immediately started talking about Jaws, and we became friends since.
I remember watching back that video of us doing our first podcast in the broom cupboard and thinking, my God, I just need to tone it down. I'm like a child. I'm just.
Me too, man. I can't watch it back.
About everything. So I think I watched that back, and I really tried to hone in what I wanted to do on a podcast. So
yeah,
it's all been a big learning experience.
I can't watch that one back. I don't know why.
I can't watch it back either. I'm a prick.
What about The Thick of It? You watched that back?
Yeah, I do watch that back. I'm proud of that.
What often do you watch it back?
Every day, most mornings.
Aaron and I did a performance one time where we were doing a scene from The Thick of It, starring Peter Capaldi, and Aaron was Peter Capaldi, and it was shot like one take, and we had like rehearsed it once, and we just went for it, and then ended up being
Shout out
magic.
to Fran, our director at the time.
Yeah,
Wonderful man.
who I've heard is as well just a bit frustrated with COVID times.
Oh, is that Fran's hot take on these times?
That's Fran's hot take. Yes, he's trying to direct a show, and he's quite frustrated because there's not a set date that they can give.
Oh, it's tough. That's tough.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, that's tough.
Anyway, but we're lucky that we have no restrictions here on the Good Bit now that we're remote, and we can be in each other's presence every week or every 2 weeks, or whenever we do the podcast. I am looking forward to it. So thank you for joining us, everybody, on this little introduction episode, this return to the Good Bit. This is season 2. We are back in business. We are getting back on the proverbial wagon. And next week, our first episode properly back is going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark from 1981, Steven Spielberg classic. Aaron and I both watched it this past week, and we're going to chat about it on the next edition of the Good Bit podcast. So until then, stay safe out there, everybody. Look after yourselves and each other.